Welcome to Inquiry into Self. The bliss trap is the idea that when we're awake, there should be this constant state of bliss, that life should conform to what it turns out is our ego's comfort zone. So I'm going to just share personally and how that works out in life. So we have a $2,500 appliance I use every day. It's a health treatment thing. And there's a regular maintenance it's supposed to have. It's been having some problems that I've done some workarounds. Well, it turns out that it's way past its maintenance. I never read the manual. My husband read the manual. I thought he was going to do the maintenance. And the workarounds I've been doing have actually made it worse. So it just occurred to me, oh, I should check on the maintenance. And lo and behold, it's way past. And today, the maintenance needs to get done. It wasn't on my calendar, wasn't on my schedule. And in fact, of course, many other things were. So initially, there was, all this equipment be harmed by us overusing it without maintaining it. And how in the world is my schedule going to work with this? And how come my husband didn't tell me what was in the manual? There's all the upset. Now, if our idea is attached to bliss, then we look to see, well, what broke down here? And we're trying to fix things, trying to get it back into the area that we feel comfortable in. But that's all based upon our ego's sense of comfort. So all of those questions I had were all based upon my ego's sense of comfort. So what came next was, okay, this is perfect. This is actually part of the universe's perfect plan. This is the full harmony. The deepest part of me wanted this to happen. So that means there's got to be another perspective available here. So the first thing that I went to was my 3 wells inquiry. So let's just work through that 3 wells. Maybe you have something you can do the 3 wells with. The first is the well of compassion. So I just checked in and could feel all those beliefs that had popped up. And they were things about I had been irresponsible. And now we are having to contact the manufacturer, the inventor, to get help on, what do we do at this point? So now I'm revealing my irresponsibility and taking up somebody else's time. So there's all of that, the little girl feelings. So I just didn't object to any of those feelings. That's part of the human experience. But I didn't invest in them. I just bathed them in compassion. Of course, you're feeling irresponsible. Of course, you're feeling overwhelmed. Of course, you're wondering how in the world this is all going to get taken care of. Of course, you're wondering if the $5,200 machine is damaged. $5,200, $2,500. So all of this just got bathed in compassion, not trying to fix anything, just understanding where was the egoic concern and holding it with space and love. Then after that, I go to the well of attention. That is, I just pause and with a clear, open mind, clear, open heart, check to see, so where's the good coming into this situation? Well, for me, in my case, I want to have my egoic sense of security constantly challenged so that I will rest in the unknown. That when all of that upset starts to happen, all it's breaking down is structures that I don't want to have. So I'm just very aware, oh, there were some structures around using that equipment. Those structures are gone now. Didn't work out. And now I'm in the open unknowing. Open unknowing. How long will this piece of equipment work? How helpful will the inventor be? How much time is it going to take? It ended up taking around 3 hours. But all of that starts to open into unknown, where there's not an anchor, there's not any particular orientation, there's no certainty, there's not even grounding in a certain way. It's very fluid, very dynamic, very in flux. And while, of course, ego structures might not be comfortable with that, that actually is home base. That is the infinite. So it was immediately this invitation, oh, yes, there's an access point here into infinite unknowing. It didn't happen in 30 seconds, but, over the course of whatever it was, the next half hour, hours, I was feeling into it. I could feel, okay, there is an opening here, and I'm going to enjoy this opening as I expand into it. So I felt the opening, I felt the uncertainty, I felt the letting go. And yeah, first there was discomfort, but then there was this, okay, I don't know. And I'm just going to do the next thing. And as I resumed the position of I don't know, more and more of me was willing to recognize this as home again. The I don't know is home. That's where the infinite can be tasted, in the not knowing. That's where possibility, potential, where the fluidity of the present moment is, where there's no expectation, no plan, no certainty in those kind of structured ways. So anyways, that's what I felt. I felt this opening as gradually the letting go just came back into play. And I knew it would be feeling sweet soon, but I wasn't so worried about making sure it was feeling good. I wasn't so worried about getting to a bliss state. All that mattered to me is I was opening back into the unknown, knowing all the rest of me would catch up. See, that's where the bliss trap is. We're trying to get back to the, oh yeah, this is right. But that's kind of another structure. Instead, I was just back into the not knowing and allowing all the human parts to come in to sync in their own time. So just the moment I recognize, okay, here's the upset, and now I'm back in unknowing, okay, already that in and of itself, even if there's still some human parts being upset, that recognition, I'm back in the not knowing, that for me is home base. So that's the second well, the well of attention. And I saw there's definite benefit to this situation. I actually had another thing that came out from the well of attention, and that was that the opportunity cost, in other words, had I read the manual and been doing that for everything and following up with the maintenance, it would have been a whole other kind of lifestyle. It would have been reading all the manuals, following up with all the maintenances, all that kind of thing. And because I don't do that, it gets done in various ways, there's time for all the creative pursuits I have. And I would not trade that. Absolutely not trade that. So during the well of attention, I actually also came to this place of gratitude. I'd actually prefer this problem than the problem of where do I have time for my creative pursuits? So clearly, this was the right kind of problem to have. So that was the well of attention. And finally, is the well of wise action. So that was just tuning in. Okay, now that I'm in the unknown, now that I'm not attached to anything in particular, now that I see that there's actually been a lot of gifts in this situation, what's the next thing to do? Clearly, since I want to use this piece of equipment every day, the next thing was to do the maintenance. And that just happened. It just, instead of investing in how long is this going to take, how is my day going to work out, I just, okay, well, I don't know, but I'm going to just take the next step. And I started reading the manual, watching the video required, and blah, blah, blah. So I didn't know how the day was going to turn out. I didn't know what things are going to fall off my schedule. But I just took the next step, staying in the unknown. I didn't know what was going to be the condition of the equipment. Was there where we're going to have to do more than the maintenance, where we're going to have to go into the area of repairs, that kind of thing. But I just took the next step without investing in exactly how the rest was going to play out. So then the result of taking the wise action from a place of unknowing was actually an enjoyment of the process. Okay, this is all I'm doing right now. This simple thing. First step, second step, and I enjoyed doing the maintenance. It was fun learning more about how the equipment works, fun actually seeing it get better. Fortunately, the maintenance worked. So all of that process, it just became a process of discovery. Life, it turns out, is always discovery. When we think it's not discovery, it is. We've just kind of overlaid our own structure over the top of it. So the idea that bliss should be our home base, there is certainly a good portion of the human element that relaxes and finds joy in recognizing that there's natural harmony to our existence. So it's nice to go towards that. It's nice to use our interest in bliss as motivation for going through all the processes we go through. But fundamentally, the home base is, for me, the not knowing. The not knowing, the mystery, the fluidity. That's where there's boundlessness. That's where I'm not trying to orient by our structures and known concepts. So you can just feel into that with me right now. We can just feel, what is something that we don't know? Everything is that. But something in our life is actually being more the pointer of that at any given moment, usually. We could have a relationship that seems confusing. We can have a health issue that seems confusing. We can have a financial issue, a mechanical issue. Wherever we've got an area where we don't know, that is actually our portal. So just tune into an area of life where there's a lot of not knowing. Feel the lack of structure. Feel maybe there's a little temerity, a little caution. And then just feel how it's fundamentally much less structured than any other area. And so I'm just feeling that openness, that curiosity. And then I just check in. Is it possible that it's all going to be good? Well, in my case, I've certainly decided that's clear. It's all going to be good. I've gone through every negative thing that happened in my life, found out that everyone was indeed good, so it's all going to be good. So if it's all going to be good, okay, now the human part can relax a little bit more, and I can feel that openness. I can feel that unstructured, not even fully grounded, a resting in the fluidity, a resting as the fluidity. And we can just feel resting as fluidity. If that's actually the home for knowing ourselves and our infinite being, resting as the fluidity, that actually is what we want, and this situation is giving us that. Resting as fluidity. It's being handed to us on a platter. Resting as fluidity. What happens in the gut as we rest as fluidity? What happens in the heart as we rest in fluidity? What happens in the mind as we rest as fluidity? Now, there's not knowing. There's no point of orientation. And in fact, there's this generating energy, this generating potential, this generating benevolence that's kind of behind, around, permeating, infusing, anywhere where you can just taste a little bit. It does not have to be much, just a little bit of the knowledge that, or the sense that there's a governing benevolence, a potent moving force of benevolence weaving everything. And as you feel that, as we feel that, we can just open further and rest. Rest is this benevolent nothing, this moving that has no particular form, just a simple, potent, energetic flowing. And we can just rest and be that. And let it just percolate into all of the humanness. Just let the humanness be nourished. And then feel back into this benevolent, potent, energetic nothing, this radiant mystery. We are radiant mystery. And radiant mystery does not have to look like bliss. Radiant mystery is what is here all the time. Anything that comes and goes is not what we are. So we feel the radiant mystery. We sense it. We know it. We let everything else just kind of be small in the expanse, in the infinite, in the boundless, vast infinite mystery that we are.